back to our podcast, the Mexican-American Latino Lens live podcast. I'm Yasmin, a big movie lover, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dr. Jose Luis Ruiz, who's a director, author, dentist, and the founder of both the Mexican-American Cultural Education Foundation, as well as Dr. Ruiz Productions. How are you doing today, Dr. Ruiz?
I'm doing very good. I'm very happy to be here today again. We have a really fun and very soul-searching episode, because we're going to be talking about a pretty serious film. I mean, in addition to that, it's a gorgeously done film.
Thank you.
But has the subject is quite serious, especially today. I mean, these days, something like this is just right on the nose. So we're happy to have the extraordinary, amazing director, Israel Gutierrez. He goes by Is, and he's a friend of mine, and he's very, very, very talented, And of course, Rafael, who is I mean, you'll see, my friends. I mean, he is really, really talented actor. So we have a fun episode, and but before we get into getting to know our guests today, we want to start by hearing from my partner here, who is a film lover, and she's picky. I mean, I don't, she's picky and sometimes a little difficult when it comes to choosing films. I'm kidding. No, she's giving me the eye right there. I'm kidding. No, but she is picky, and she's very knowledgeable about film, and I know she likes this one. So I want to hear your, first of all, before we see the trailer, I want to hear your what you feel about it.
Well, I think the acting was really, really, really good overall. Like, I think the performances were so powerful from the whole cast. And I also think, like, just the story, like, it was so, like, sad, but, like, it just kind of shows you the reality that, like, it's not always, like, shown in, like, history books and things like that. So I think it was just a really, really good story and just so impactful.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to summarize the film.
We should play the trailer, though, so that...
Well, I think that's a good idea. Let's do that. So our engineer, our audio and visual engineer, Michaela, please play the film. The trailer, not the film.
How long have you been a journalist?
Years.
I don't know what happened to my son that day. My only son. Rangers don't like us Tejanos criticizing or investigating on what they're doing.
Yes. I've encountered them before. I will do my best to find the truth. To find what happened to Thomas.
Wow. And you know what's important? This is a true story, and very few people actually are aware of this. This heroic journalist, Mexican-American journalist from the beginning of the 19th century, she faced threats and death threats and all kinds of things, in order to bring to the attention of the country the incredible abuses that were happening in Texas during this time of the American history, where the Texas Rangers were attacking and killing and basically doing racial extermination in this country, and she risked her life to write articles that were published in the newspaper, and it made a difference. It changed, because once people heard about it, then this abusive people had to be put into into their plays, but it really it's amazing. It's amazing how some. I have to say, I mean, usually women are the most courageous. It's impressive. I mean, she was an impressive person. And let's start by asking Israel. You know, how do you came across the story? How do you got the opportunity to tell the story, and give us a little bit of the background on how you got started writing, because you're not only the director, and you did a beautiful job directing
Well, thank you.
this talented group of actors, but I mean, your writing is also quite impressive. So tell us a little bit about this. How do you start the story?
So it started off, I think, around one of the anniversaries of the massacre, or what was called the La Matanza. And I read an article. It was just very random. I read an article where they were trying to put up these plaques in Texas, and all of a sudden, I was reading on it, and I was blown away by how I didn't know this part of history. I had no idea what the Matanza was. I didn't know what the massacre. I didn't know what happened at Porvenir. I didn't know any of this to the extent that the article was mentioning, the events and details. So I just kind of started researching it because I was upset that I didn't know about this. It wasn't taught in school. Nobody I knew really knew the details about this. So right away, being kind of I don't know what you want to call it, a filmmaker activist, where I kind of latch on to ideas and things that I feel like are important for people to know. Right away, I started to get upset that I didn't know about any of this. And the fact that, again, it wasn't taught in school, there just seemed some, there seems like there was something nefarious behind it, like kind of like the tagline of the film, which is that history is being ignored, that these chapters of our people are kind of being ripped out of history books intentionally. So pretty much once I dug into the history and research, I did a ton of research. I have documents upon documents of notes that I wrote. I befriended historians. I read some books. I contacted the authors, who are historians, who are um, teachers, professors, and I just did as much digging as I could to find out everything about this time, which extends decades, even right after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848. So anyway, so I just did a ton of research, and as a writer, you try to find the narrative, you try to find the
Mhm.
characters, you try to find where the story is. And I know that I wanted to make something about it, but it was just very rich, in terms of the knowledge and history. And I needed to find something. So through all that, I wanted to concentrate a little bit on the massacres and things, but I wanted to make it, connect it. I wanted to connect it with a universal audience, so that way we can understand what it's like for these families and people that lived at that time to have, their family members killed. They were they disappeared. They were not allowed to look for their bodies. So anyway, so through that narrative, I decided to write a pilot for it. And it was interesting because Rafa, who we have with us today, he had told me the story long ago about this mother and son, and it has nothing to do with this time period or anything like that. But
Oh, really?
the mother-son dynamic interested me because,
Mm.
very much like in the kind of story that he told me about, being separated, I thought this would be a great way to begin this narrative. So that part of the mother-son story is fictionalized,
Mhm.
but I thought it might be good to start it off, especially for the short film, because I was
Mhm.
trying to find a narrative. I was trying to find
Yeah, you have to you
that
have to
anchor.
make it human. You have to make it about people, right? Although the
Yeah,
story is so brutal.
right.
Um,
So,
now,
mhm.
yeah, continue, please.
Oh no, I was gonna say, so that's pretty much where the short came from. But because I had a ton of research, this story was not the end of the story. It was just a
Oh.
beginning. It was kind of a prologue to a much bigger story that I wanted to tell. But for the short film, and particularly for the pilot, which I had originally wrote, it was a good way to start it. But
Mhm.
there was too much detail, so I had to find another way to tell the story beyond the short, because ultimately this was a proof of concept for a feature film.
Exactly.
And I wanted to expand on it, which is pretty much what I'm in the process of right now. But anyway, so that's the genesis of the short.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
yeah, that's that's a story that needs a lot more time to tell in the feature. But we'll come back to talk about the feature in just a minute. But I do want to have our audience have a chance to meet Rafael Cobos, who is the star of of course, together with the. I mean, you have three very powerful actors in your film. Your primary actors, of course. Everyone in the film is very, 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 very good, and kudos to the director who was able to extract those amazing performances. But let's talk to Rafael. Rafael, my friend, how are you? How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. Thank you very much for inviting us.
Of course. No. I mean, your performance is very, very powerful. Where do you get? Let's start by understanding where do you get the background information? How do you create your character?
Well, I work hand by hand with Israel. Every time when he read an article or something, he give it to me, and I was reading. I literally was reading everything what he was reading, and something very interesting. I was in a theater group, and Israel gave me a very specific directions about subtext and how the character is gonna be develop his emotions through the movie. So in the theater group, I was able to try those things out and to see how that gonna work when the day happen, and it was amazing. It was amazing.
It really is. It really is. Now tell me. So obviously you guys are friends. I assume because you guys collaborated on this apparently from the beginning.
Yeah.
How do you guys meet?
So, well, I went to for my master's degree, I went to Chapman University's Dodge College of Film, and it's actually funny because for one of my early, very small short films that I did for school, I was casting, and Rafael showed up for the role, and we joke about it because he wasn't right for the role. And he always jokes to me and says, "Oh, you didn't take me," But
that's how things start, right?
But the thing is, as actors, whom I have a lot of appreciation for because they have to deal with rejection and preparation auditions so much, and honestly, I can't imagine doing that myself. So, but the great thing about this is that, look, just because you're not right for this particular film or this story doesn't mean you're not right for anything else and that we can't work together. So I always remembered the guy. I didn't know him that well, but he had a presence. He was very kind and he really tried hard. So I did another short film for school, and then I was like, dude, this is for you. Like I remembered you, do you want to do it? And then kind of from there, it just went on. I did a couple of other short films, and then we just collaborated, obviously, and kept in touch. And then when I told him about this idea for Sediciosos, that's when we started talking about it. He told me the story about the mother and son. But anyway, so yeah, we've collaborated and just kind of got together to talk about story and films. And this was just a good project for us to both work together on. So,
well, yeah, Rafael it's good eye, my friend, because Rafael is quite a talented young man. I mean, you were the best actor at Chapman University during your thesis time, and of course you've been you've been working on Avalon, 5711 Avalon with Shia LaBeouf. So you're doing pretty good, my friend Rafael. What other things have you worked in? Because I saw that you have a nice resume behind you. Tell us a little bit more about you. By the way, how do you become an actor? When do you get the bug?
Well, that happens when back in Mexico, I saw Amores Perros for the first time, and I got in love with the film, and I was like, this is what I want to do, but I want to do it in California. Then, life happened, and then I got to Orange County, and I went to Facebook. I start to previously I work in I wrote the story in Spanish, and I wrote a strong synopsis. So I went to Facebook. I put Chapman University, and someone appeared over there. It was a DP. I sent in a friend request, and then we start talking, and then he's like, "This is what I want to do." I sent him the synopsis, and then we have a coffee, and then he's like, "I can invite you to a film," and from there we start like shooting a feature film, my first feature film as a group, behind the scenes. And then I was working very hard because I really want to understand the film language. So then all the students, they start to invite me for their thesis films, and it was great. I didn't understand a thing. Like when they give me a headset, I was like, "Bring me a C-47, a lollipop," and Apple was Apple. What? So I was like, what the hell is that? Where's the Apple? But it was an amazing time to work behind the scenes, because it really make you respect the work of everybody, because it take a village to make a film. Then I was like, I want to
So
be a
true.
creep. I don't want to be a creep. I want to be an actor. So I went again to Facebook, and I went to Chapman Film Connection, that is still exists. It's a Facebook group for Chapman University. They put the auditions over there, and that's how I found the audition for Israel. And then he rejected me the first time, but
He keeps Israel. He keeps reminding you.
Yeah, I know. All these years after, he's still.
You'll never forget that.
but then when I worked in his thesis film, it was amazing. I was like, I really want to keep working with him. And then we did Sediciosos, and it was such an amazing process, because his ethic is the research, the way that he works. It really pulled you up the best of you, and it was such a beautiful moment just to be on set, and it was half of his friends, half of my friends, and it was a family making
that's the thing. Like you said, it takes a village, and it's better when people work together well. And I know Israel is a very kind person. He's been very, very involved with MACEF, with our nonprofit. He's very consistently supportive, and of course, I know there's a lot more things that we know are coming over there. But let's talk about the feature, because I'm very well. Before we do that, actually, and before my co-host pinches me and tells me that we need to play the second second segment, why don't we do that? Plus, it's a really good segment. It's a good time to see the performance of this young man, Rafael, because it's gut-wrenching performance.
I wrote an article criticizing President Wilson's decision to send troops to the border for a false threat. I called him a demagogue. I said it was only to justify means by authorities to scare Tejanos from our lands. The Rangers did not approve, and they threatened me at our office. I blocked the door como una mensa. I still remember one of them, close to my face. I could hear his raspy breathing as he stared me down. I was scared.
Qué barbaridad.
They left, but only to return at night and burn down the entire newspaper.
Mendigos.
At least I'm alive. More than I can say for others that cross their path.
And you here to report on our stories.
Israel, I think that you did a really. It was very wise to tell the story of Jovita Adair, because I think
Mhm.
that grounds the story, and it also makes it based on history. And I mean, from my perspective, of course, my humble
Yeah,
perspective, that's I really
I
like
agree.
that, that you made that choice. Um, let's talk about your feature, because I imagine the in your feature you're probably gonna, I mean, obviously extend the story. Could you give us a Can you give us a little? I know filmmakers don't want to give too much, but just give us a
Yeah.
little bit of where you're going with your feature.
Yeah, if I could just go back a little bit to talk about that scene real quick, just to
Okay,
acknowledge
please. Yeah, yeah, please.
Carolina Vargas, who played Ojovita, and Blanca Araceli, who played the mother, Rafa Tomas's mom. So I just to acknowledge just how great they were and amazing. Every
Yes.
time I watch their performances, especially when they're talking together, I get a little teary-eyed because it's sad, but also the performances are so good. But also just you're talking about Jovita, which she was a real journalist and activist and teacher and nurse and just did all this great stuff. That flashback where you see these rangers coming at her door and she blocks the door, that's actually based on a real thing that happened to Jovita at her, at the newspaper she worked with. She owned one, and then she also worked with one with her father, but they came to threaten her, to tell her that they weren't happy with what she had written about the president and about what was happening at the border with the refugees coming, them sending the army and things like that. She was very vocal about it. And by the way, I know this sounds very familiar because it's
It sure does.
history repeating itself. But they didn't like what she said, and they came to threaten her, and she did block the door. That is a story for her, pretty much putting her life in danger. And she was okay, but they did destroy the newspaper after that. Though I think they even attacked her brother. They took sledgehammers and things, and broke the machines
Mm,
and stuff in there. So
mhm.
anyway, just that is a real thing that happened. And to segue into the feature film, just like The Shore, where I'm using real life events in history and real characters to weave the narrative, right? To weave the story,
Yes.
which is extremely hard, by the way. It's because you have so many pieces to deal with in history, but we have to have a good sense of story and character and how to tell a narrative in order to kind of weave those pieces together. And for the feature, to segue into that, I'm taking the same approach, right? There are a lot of events and details surrounding all this time around 1915 called La Matanza, or the
Hmm.
massacre. Characters, real people, and events that happened. So for the feature, I'm pretty much expanding on that and building the narrative around real things that happened with some fictionalized things, but
Hmm.
grounding the entire story with real things, but
Hmm.
also being very careful not to beat people over the head with this preachiness narrative, which we've seen a lot of times in films, where this is just character based, it's just story. But by the way, it's happening around this time, and these little details, these plot points that you're seeing, are going to be things that happened. But just I am maneuvering those events and people and things that
Hmm.
happened in real history into a more interesting narrative with these characters. So
Mm.
the feature, so I'm taking the same approach with that. And again, it's a very difficult process to build a story around that. But I got to a really good place because I was unhappy where I was going with the story, with the feature, until I realized where I really wanted to go with it. So um, it's expanding into a way that may not have been maybe a surprise to people. It's
Uh-huh.
taking more of a thriller. It's kind of a genre bender. So it's going to be more
Uh,
of a suspense thriller slash horror film.
oh,
Now, let me explain,
so you're
because a lot of
really
people,
going in a,
yeah,
in
yeah.
a
So,
complete different direction. I
well,
bet I
that's
bet Yasmin is gonna like that.
Yeah, I like horror
so,
movies.
so the thing with that is that the initial thing, you think about a horror film, you think one way, you think about a drama, you think another way. But what I'm really trying to do here is to bend those genres together.
Mm.
It's going to have all the same character dramatic things in it.
Mm.
But what I realized is what these people were going through at the time when all this stuff was happening was it was a horror show.
Well,
You
yeah, I
know,
would
yeah,
imagine. Yeah, for
yeah, they
sure.
had vigilantes and rangers and
Yeah,
people from the towns that were hunting people down and killing them. So this was horrific. It was like a bunch of
yeah,
monsters coming after them. So
yeah.
I want that feel. I want people to feel that, but
Mm,
also be in some way educated, even whether they know it or not, about the history. But I want them
mm-hmm,
to be in those moments. So in the feature, it's a little bit more isolated because you have to pick a certain part of the story to tell. So I fictionalize certain things, but pretty much it's about a reporter who's going back to a town where she witnessed some extremely horrific things.
mm-hmm,
So she is forced to go back to this town because overnight, seemingly 165 or to 200 people have just vanished for no reason.
mm,
And they investigate this town. She goes with some people to investigate this town where through their research and through their investigation, I am revealing to the audience things about history, but
mm-hmm,
also while it's in a horror film,
mm,
while it's thrillers, they're stuck in this town. They're trying to figure out what happened to these 165 people. There are 15 bodies that were found. There are shells
mm,
everywhere. There's this thing called the Plan de San Diego that they don't know what it is. They're trying to figure it out. So all
mm-hmm,
these things that I weaved into the plot line that have to
mm.
do with actual history are part of the
That,
investigation.
that sounds like a lot of fun, Israel. Now
Yeah,
tell
no,
us
it's going to
something.
be fun. Yeah.
Tell us something. Where where are you there? I mean, as a filmmaker, I know that putting a feature together is a titanic effort, and not only raising the funds, but you know developing the deals with all the different people that you need to work with. Where are you from that perspective? Do you have already? Do you have any deals already ready to go?
You know what? No deals. There have been interests, but nothing solid.
Mhm.
Nothing as far as financing or budgeting yet, but that's all part of the plan. What I'm hoping with is that along with the script, that people become interested in the story because this is something that is universal in terms of the story.
Yeah,
It's a
it
thriller.
needs to
People
be.
love
It's
thrillers,
a story that needs to be told, and
right?
I think, and the way you're putting it, I think our audience are going to be very, very excited. I mean,
Well,
I'm
people
excited.
have.
I want to see it.
Well, that was the challenge and why I love this new version of this idea better because I'm taking pretty much what I did, but I'm making it more interesting. Now, these are
Mm,
real things that happen. They're
mm,
tragic,
mhm.
but we also have to make sure that people go watch this movie, right? And
Well,
people love horror, they love thrillers, they love mystery, and this film is really a mystery. So as we're discovering with our characters and being entertained in some way, there is going to be a revelation and education about this history at the same time.
that's
So
a very
that
good way
is,
to do it.
mhm.
But if we look at
So
our third little bit of video, because we want to see Rafael's performance, and this is an important part of the story. Very, very important.
mhm.
Tell us about this rebellion.
I'm not part of any rebellion, you know that.
Where are you from, then? You crossed the border running from that revolution you Mexicans got going on down there?
I'm from these lands. My family's been here over 100 years. What about you?
Watch your mouth, bandit.
He's probably a rancher. I think I've seen him around.
Rancher. Well, shit. Take us to your ranch, bandit. Are you sure about that? Don't put your body there in them trees. Nobody will know where you are. Not your friends, the wife, tu mama. Nobody. Not for weeks, months.
He lives up the road, like the other Mexican. I bet on it.
Well, I drove all the Mexicans from 3 ranches. Let's keep going.
Wow. Tell us about this scene, Rafael. Tell us, tell us a little bit about the background and I mean, beautifully done. Beautifully done.
Thank you. Well, like I said, Israel and I we work a lot to on the script. I was very excited about the story all the time, and those are my friends, my real friends who were part of the theater group. So I remember the day before we went in the hotel room rehearsing, and we have a from the director. We have a very specific like um, things about what we have to work on it individually, and it, it was one of those things that we have everything time against us, and it just happened. It's just like we just stayed there, and we were present, we were prepared, and I think Israel always say something like preparation always with me the opportunity, so we prepare, and that was a great opportunity to make something magical,
Yeah.
and it just happened. We didn't you prepare all the time as an actor, but at the end you have to throw everything away, whatever happens on the moment, and but it was such a beautiful moment. Like it just
Yeah.
happened, and I was very scared because we were shooting up in the mountains, and the ranger said like there's a lot of the rattlesnakes. So I was with my machete like making noises, but at the end I forget everything and I just stood in the moment, and it was such a great moment.
Where do you film?
So we shot up in the mountains near Banning. We found this location there that was owned by the county, and it was just kind of perfect. But we had to drive up 40 minutes up the mountain in these weaving roads just to get there.
Wow.
So every morning we were like leaving before 5 o'clock or whatever just to get up the mountain. So yeah, it was in these mountains up near Banning, and at this like it used to be like a boys camp, I guess, for all the traviesos, I guess, for that were,
Oh,
that they would
really?
get sent to this camp to like, behave better. But I
Oh.
guess it's no longer open. So they have it's just creepy and empty. There's like a baseball
Mm.
field with growing weeds. But anyway, so
Mm.
besides that, there were areas, it's huge, it's large, that we were able to use like this scene with Rafa. So it was just a perfect place and it fit our budget with everything. So shout out to that, and also just shout out to Landon and Luke and Daniel who played one
The
vigilante and the
the
two rangers
the
that were in that
Rangers, right?
scene.
Yeah, they did a great
Yeah,
job.
so
Yeah, yeah, great job. Yeah,
so it's
kudos to.
funny is because Rafa, he was in this theater group and he's like, oh, people want to audition for the film, and I was like, all right, well, we can't. Look, I know they're your buddies, but I can't just say yes. Like we have to audition. Like I'm very picky with the cast, and they have to have range and all that good stuff. So I'm not gonna just say yes. I don't want to be rude. But I had auditions and they came to the audition, and I'm not even joking because I'm very picky, so I wouldn't just say this, but every single one of them just nailed it every
Mm.
time. And one of them completely creeped me out because I thought I was being interrogated during the audition. But shout out to those guys because they like nailed it, not just in
Mm.
the audition, but it just goes to show like the amount of talent that was in Rafael's theater group, along with one of our producers, Sarah. So
Yeah,
shout out to
yeah,
them for being so talented.
very good. How many days did it take you to shoot this film?
So what was it, 4 days with 2 weekends that we 4? Yeah, 4.
4
Jesus, I
days.
can't even remember. Yeah, 4 days, limited amount of time at this place because otherwise they had to close it down. So we had limited amount of hours per day. In fact,
Hmm.
that scene that we just saw, that we completely ran out of time at the end. So we shout out to
We've
Rafa
seen
for
that before,
nailing
right?
it.
We
No, like literally the sun was going down and we were trying to get all the coverage for Rafa, and shout out to Rafa for getting it together and pulling out all that emotion and fear that came out of that performance. Now we didn't see
Yeah,
the very end of it, but the very end of it gets a little bit more dramatic. But yeah, we were running out of
even
time
more
and
dramatic. Wow,
yeah.
That's heart wrenching, you know.
Yeah.
I've had the fortune of seeing the entire short, and yeah, it is phenomenal. And don't fear, because Yasmin will let you know a little more about where you can see this film. And of course, I want to take an opportunity as the time starts to wind down, to hear a little bit more about what's in store for you, Israel. What are you working on right now?
So again, the feature film for this one, which again
Okay.
I'm really excited about. So it's just a matter of finding the right financiers and producers, I guess, to put that together, because the vision's there, the script, the idea. So it's just a matter of getting it out there, and I really do think that.
What's your budget right now?
So, geez, at these times with such low budgets with everything, but yeah, no, it's, you know, here's the thing. I have
maybe somebody rich is gonna be listening and like, oh, I want to.
I hope so. The thing, you know, that film, along with a couple of other ones I've done, were not as big a budget as you think. So we have the advantage to be able to make things look a lot more than they are. So whatever money I can get for this feature, one thing that's for sure is that I have a village of people that work very hard to make it more expensive looking than it actually is. So pretty much I will make this for whatever, but you know, we won't go into the actual budgets for
That's
this.
Okay,
but
it's okay.
Have you applied for a production grant?
I've applied with many things. So they're obviously very, very competitive. But this, you know, this is going to require a feature film. Now, one of the advantages advantages of this film is that it's isolated in one area, right? So in order to create that isolation and horror and fear of these people investigating this empty ghost town, I think that's an advantage for our shoot, because now we're just compartmentalized within this area. So when it comes to thriller, horror, suspense, budgets, productions, I've produced, so I know what the extent of that. So it is, I think, a good combination formula in story, but as far as the logistics to shoot it, where you can get a lot for the money.
No, and the quality of your film, of your short film, is very, very high. I mean, by the way, who's your cinematographer?
Good thing you mentioned it, because I was just talking to him. So my good friend Alex Griffin, who I went to school with at Chapman, he graduated a year before I did, but he worked on my thesis. We knew each other, and for a long time I wanted to work with him. So Alex Griffin, the cinematographer extraordinaire, was able to shoot. And I remember talking to him because
nice job.
He always takes these great pictures of nature, and I was like, I think this is the guy. I mean, he's my friend, but I was like, you know, hey, you want to work on this film? Because I think you just got the eye for this type of film, I think. And with the constraints we had with budget, again, it looks great. You would think that we spent thousands more, but I think he definitely has the eye and the talent and the skill to work within those constraints, just like everybody. And so shout out to Alex Griffin and the rest of our team.
We can't wait to see the feature. You also won some very, very special award with your film Sin Fronteras. Am I right?
Yeah, so that was the other short film I did, which was also a proof of concept, by the way. It was based on real things as well. It's a love story based in the background of you know, with the background of an immigration issue, but it's a love story. So yeah, that film, which was originally proof of concept, and I'm actually adapting that in a different way. I would love to make that as well. But so yeah, that film got me a lot of attention. We got invited to, actually I went with Rafa. We got invited to WME, William Morris, to screen it at their screening theater there, to get people like interested, to hopefully like. Unfortunately, I think it was during a bad time, because right after that is when kind of all the attention to diversity and people's art, everyone's stories started to kind of come to light. And it's just funny because I don't think people thought that would be interesting to people. And then soon after that, all these movies started to come out where we were telling our stories and our history. And I don't know, maybe Rafa, maybe we were just ahead of the game. I don't know, but But anyway, so we got invited there. We got invited to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation to screen in that room. We got to go to some really cool festivals. We were awarded the Panavision grant. So that we had a lot of success with that film, but that there's an idea for that film as well for a proof of concept. So
wow, we can't wait. We can't wait. I know that we're gonna see a lot from you, Israel, and I know we look forward to seeing a lot from Rafael as well. Yasmin, tell us where can we see this beautiful work, and how can we follow Rafael and Israel?
But you can get the latest updates on the film and also what is Gutierrez is doing by following his Instagram. His username is the is Gutierrez, and that's where you get all the information as well as like his updates on the feature film. I think though that we should do the rapid fire.
Oh, we want to ask you some questions. Some personal questions. No, but
okay.
Just for fun. Just for fun.
It's just a little segment we do near the end. But okay, so I'll ask Rafael.
Let's start with Yasmin.
Me.
I'm gonna ask something to Yasmin now.
Let's start with Rafael. What is your dream role?
I would like to be a vampire.
No.
I would like to be
I think you look amazing as a vampire.
Yeah, it's something about vampires and the Mexican culture that it really is like
un vampiro.
Un vampiro, very related, and
I love it.
Yeah, that will be. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, like any good story, I would love to be part of it. You know.
Yeah. Good answer. I like it. Yeah. Israel, who's your favorite director?
Oh man, I don't know if I have one favorite. I'm one of those guys that I cannot tell you my favorite movie or director. I'll just tell you a list of people I love. I don't know if I can just pick one person, to be completely honest. They've been so many. Different directors I love have been at different stages of, I feel, of my development as a filmmaker.
That's a tough question, I know.
Yeah, when I was younger, when I was a little kid, I was watching shit on TV that I probably shouldn't have been watching, horror films and sci-fi films from James Cameron and Ridley Scott and John Carpenter. I was watching all this stuff. I have like my They Live shirt from John Carpenter. And then as I grew up and started watching films that were disturbing in a good way, that made me feel like things that I didn't want to feel, but they were there anyway. So films like by Darren Aronofsky and David Fincher, and just obviously the greats like Scorsese and Spielberg all have their great moments, but
good choices.
I can have a whole hour talking about filmmakers.
Well, this is a rapid fire question, so you don't have an hour. Yasmin.
Okay, so this is a question for Rafael. What's a secret talent you have?
Talk. Also, like
actually,
I think like something beautiful about Sediciosos and Sin Frontera is being open to me a lot of doors. Like when you have something good to show it, don't be afraid to show it. Like one time my friend in Sin Frontera told me like, hey, you should do an internship with Carla Julen. I was like, how do you do that? Call them. So I went to ANDB Pro. I got the phone number. I got with Natalie Ballesteros, who used to work there, and we have a conversation for 20 minutes. And the next day, I was there. Same thing with Sediciosos. Like every time, Sediciosos has been open to me a lot of doors. Like I work.
Oh yeah, the performance is so good. I can imagine, my friend. Good job.
Thank you. But this is because Israel. Thanks to Israel too, because he create all this magic and he gave me the space to play with this sandbox, and it was amazing that and the tools that he gave me too. So another thing about Sediciosos is that I send the movie to directors like Miguel Ángel Caballero. He gave me a part in Tita and the Valley of the Machines, and then my friend Jesus Beltran. He's a Sediciosos, and we work on a Motos and another beautiful film. And yeah, so talking is one of my skills.
Yeah, networking. So you're good at networking, I can tell. All right, very, very good. Well,
I think this is all the time we have, but I just want to thank everyone for joining us on this episode of Mexican-American Latino Lens Live podcast, where we spotlight the brilliance, resilience, and creativity of Latino creatives and in film, TV, and beyond. And I just want to remind everyone not to forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dr. Ruiz Productions, as well as follow us on Facebook and Instagram and on TikTok. And next week, we'll be having another episode at 4 p.m. covering a little family drama.
All right. Well, my friends, great seeing you all. Thank you.